body hair and ways to remove body hair. Methods we're going to talk about will include waxing, shaving, and using products like Nair. Now, each of these products have their pros and their cons, and we will get into that. But first, let's talk about why we have body hair. Our body hair was created to help regulate body temperatures and cool us down. So, for instance, when we start sweating, our body hair is facilitating that sweat, and that is in order to keep us cool so we don't overheat. So, y'all see how important body hair is for us and why we need it on our bodies. But with that being said, there's certain places on our body that we choose to take the hair off, that including your armpits, your legs, and your private parts. If you do decide to remove hair on your body, let's talk about the different methods in doing so, okay? So first, we're gonna start with waxing. Let's talk about the pros. Okay, so one of the pros with waxing is that you temporarily remove the root of the hair from its follicle. So for instance, when you apply wax to your leg and you pull it off, and you may look at the sheet, you'll see white specks at the top of the hair, and that shows that you remove the root from its actual follicle. Another pro with waxing is that on an average, it takes about 3 weeks before your hair grows back, depending on your thickness. So if you aren't a big fan of hair, just know it should take roughly almost a month before your hair grows back. Here are some cons to waxing. So from experience, I can tell you waxing is painful. If you do not have a high pain tolerance, it may not be for you. I can also say that it's a bit uncomfortable, especially if it's your first couple times doing it. It's almost like plucking. If you ever pluck your eyebrows and you feel that like your eye water, that teariness, it's like that but intensified because you're pulling a lot more hair than just one little pluck. Okay, so now let's get into shaving. So shaving is just a process of using a razor to cut your hair. You use that and you glide it against the surface, making sure that you do it in the same direction in which your hair grows, because if you don't, you will create ingrown hairs, which we will get into in the cons. Some pros with shaving is that it's inexpensive, it's painless unless you cut yourself, it's quick, and it's easy. So I would say the best way to shave is using like a shaving cream in order to hydrate the skin and keep it soft, and then begin shaving. Some cons with shaving is that regrowth is relatively very quick. I've experienced shaving 1 week, and within that same week I've seen some hair growing, so I was like, what in the world? So if you do grow hair relatively quick, just know shaving, you'll experience that. So this next one is not necessarily a con, but it ends up resulting into being a con, because when you're shaving, instead of waxing when you're pulling the hair root out, you're just cutting the surface. Therefore, the hair is still there, and once it does grow back, it grows back and appears to be thicker. Another con with shaving is that you're more prone to getting ingrown hairs if you shave more often than others. You may get razor burns. That's why I recommend you using like some sort of soap or shaving cream before you just go straight to the leg. You should never shave dry. You should always have some sort of lathered up soap on your leg and then you begin shaving. One thing I can say with shaving that may be a con is that it's very likely that you may cut yourself, especially if you're racing and you're trying to hurry and get out and you're trying to hurry and shave. You may cut yourself, and the initial cut may not hurt, but once you notice that you cut yourself and you see it bleeding, it then begins to hurt. Now on to using products like Nair. So I remember the first couple of times I used Nair. It wasn't a bad experience. It was a little bit more hands-on because you have to apply the product to the surface, then let it sit, and then wipe it down, and then like clean that area because you don't want the chemical left on it. Some pros with using products like Nair is that it can be done at home. You remove the hair underneath the surface, so therefore your hair won't grow back as fast, and nor will it grow back as thick or coarse. Now, some cons with using Nair products is that these chemicals can very much irritate sensitive skin. So if you know that you have very sensitive skin, I would definitely recommend trying this out on a very small patch of your body. I wouldn't go for your armpits first, because that's like a very sensitive piece of skin, because then you have to apply deodorant to that, and that can irritate it too. So I would recommend trying something maybe like your leg or something where nobody really can see, and seeing how that affects your skin first. Last con may not really be a con for you, but it is for me. I just remember the odor of Nair, and I was never really a big fan of it. Even after you apply it to your, like, let's just say for instance leg, and you go shower, you really have to scrub to get that odor off, and I was not a fan of it. So if you don't like funny smells, it may or may not be for you. Before I close out this video, I do want to make mention that out of all these methods I listed, I do not recommend you guys to use them on your private parts. Some of these products like Nair should not be going down there because it will irritate sensitive skin. Shaving, you'll get a lot of ingrown hairs, and also waxing. Like I already said, it is very painful, so I would not recommend you doing that on yourself down there. Well, ladies, that is all. I hope you guys learned something new. I recommend you all to go do your own research and learn more about these methods so you can choose which one is best for you. But that's all I have. Shalom.
They try to tell us that our strength is measured by a man's. That's not true, that's not true. And a woman's role is weakness if we submit.